Steve's been here waiting for us for a couple of hours. He's like, aren't we supposed to be out the door a lot earlier than this? Yeah, we are, but I gotta put on your line. Sorry to keep you waiting. All right, we ready to do this? Of course. Of course we're ready. Steve, you've been waiting so long. You're so patient. Thank you. It's just past 9 o'clock, Saturday, November 2nd, 52 degrees outside, 65 degrees inside. I have a feeling the heat's going to be coming back on as the sun angle gets lower every day, and we get a new cool air mass coming in, and technically it's high pressure coming in, but it's what we call a dirty high. That is, it's not completely sunny, and it's rather challenging to explain. Actually, I don't completely understand it myself. Just think of what happened yesterday. Record high temperatures again, 75 to 80 degrees, much warmer than I thought it was going to be. Well, much meaning about 4 to 5 degrees. I thought it would be closer to 70 than 80. So the weather is very challenging to predict. And now what's going on right now is very challenging to explain. But you can definitely make out the waves. So what that means is we have differential advection. The wind is stronger up in the sky than it is down near the ground, and there's leftover moisture, sort of the wake of the front that came across the nation with a lot of weather, but then when it came across New England, it didn't have much weather. So this is sort of the wake of that front and a subtle boundary right over us, creating these sky waves this morning. I was out at, what was it, about 7 a.m. I came out to look at the sky because it was so pretty, and I saw an egret fly down along the water. His wings looked like waves. The water had waves. The flag had waves, and then there were waves in the sky. And that's another confusing thing. I haven't seen a snowy egret in about 6 weeks. I thought they were flying south. Maybe they're as confused as the weather is. It's so warm, why should I fly south? And I also made a prediction that the burning bush here, Euonymus, I know it's invasive, would lose all its leaves this week. Well, there's one more day to go, and there's still a lot of leaves on here. So I can smell smoke too. The fire danger remains high. Now, I have not made a fire down there in a while. Look what Dave Hayes shared from the Munson Fire Department last night in Western Massachusetts. There's a ground fire burning here. Now, it's really healthy for the forest to burn out that low brush, but it's scary, and it's a challenge, and it's a dangerous job fighting these fires. And the more homes we build in the wilderness, the more challenging it is with these fires. And what caused that fire? You know, it can be something as simple as just a rail car going by and some sparks with the steel-on-steel railways, or it could have been a campfire, it could have been a cigarette, we just don't know. But the ground is still incredibly dry, and the air is, the relative humidity is a little bit higher today, but it's still dry air mass, and we still have a breeze, and so it's still elevated fire danger. The only reason this isn't dusty is because I've been watering it to keep it going. But you can't water the forest. It takes Mother Nature to do that. And there's really not much rain in the forecast at all. And just a couple of fronts going by. It's a standing wave of ridging aloft in the southeastern United States. I'm going to show the upper level flow here right away. At upper levels, there's a lot of wind, and there's a little bit of a kink in the isobars at both the surface and upper levels. Right over New England this morning, with that little jet max going right over us. That creates a little bit of lift. I'll talk more about that in a second. And then the flattening of our jet stream with the disintegration of yesterday's front, it starts to amplify again. And you have a boundary, the ridge in the southeast is building back up a trough in the west, creating a lot of heavy weather from Texas north into the Great Lakes with flooding. And as the period goes on, we have a new press of air coming in from Canada after Election Day. And Thursday, I really like the look of this with that southwestern trough and air coming at us from Canada. In the wintertime, that would be a signal for perhaps a winter storm if things worked out. But after Thursday, watch that western trough kind of flatten out and go over the top of the ridge with a real strong jet stream coming at New England next weekend from Canada. it will be cooler and pretty much storm free because those troughs coming out of the west are flattening as they come into the east. And like I mentioned so many times yesterday, flat flow aloft is not conducive to storms or precipitation. Even though there were a lot of storms across the globe, we just happen to be in a standing wave of mostly ridging in the southeastern United States and the heavy weather missing us. All right, back to this cloud. There was even a little precipitation. The surface map this morning from the Weather Prediction Center at 5 a.m. You can see the high pressure system there. High pressure generally means sinking air and nice weather. But you also see that there were a couple of raindrops there, those two dots near Glens Falls, New York, and some snowflakes across Ontario. And that's what I mean by dirty high, as there's a lot of low-level moisture stuck in an inversion aloft. I don't ever show these, but this sounding, atmospheric sounding with all these lines there from Albany, New York this morning. And you see the red line is the temperature and the green line is the dew point, and how they're pegged together at the very bottom there, and then they separate. So we have low-level instability underneath a saturated inversion. And then the red line goes to the right and the green line goes to the left, and that's dry air aloft. And if we can burn off that low-level cloud and inversion, then you get really nice bright weather. But that's difficult to do when you have high pressure and shorter days. And the cloud, here's what the cloud looked like at Jay Peak. You can almost make out a little snow there on Jet. I don't think the guns are going. I don't think it's, you need a lower dry bulb, but I think it did snow a little bit at Jay Peak last night. But you can't see through the cloud. So we can only guess that there's an inch or less of snow at Jay. And yes, I am going to be the weatherman at Jay. We confirmed that yesterday with Ted. I'm going to be the Jay Peak weatherman again this year. I think it's going to be our 12th year or so. Another example of what I'm talking about with this thermal gradient at the low levels is the Mount Washington temperature profile. You see 37 at the base of the Mount Washington Auto Road. Well, at the top of the Auto Road, it's 18 degrees. So that is a steep lapse rate of close to 20 degrees in the bottom mile of the atmosphere. So that is sort of an unstable layer underneath a thick, stable layer, if that makes any sense. I'm just trying to help explain. You got to watch every day here. You never know what's going to come out of my mind. Out of my mind. I like that one. Yeah, because I'm pretty confused over all the clouds that are stuck here today. Regardless, it's a mostly dry weekend. Fire danger remains high. Temperatures are much more seasonable. Here's the Boston 5-day forecast. And you see it shows mostly sunny skies. So I think we are going to brighten it up. And even in northern New England where the cloud is so thick, with temperatures today only around 50. Same thing tomorrow. Nighttime low in the 30s. Where it's clear, we'll probably have another layer of fog forming and frost forming tonight and tomorrow night. But the coolest day could be Monday. And then we spike back up and the temperature goes back up to near 70 or higher on Tuesday, election day, and Wednesday before it starts cooling off again next week. And yesterday, one of the mistakes I made, I forgot one of my old rules, and I made this rule a long time ago because the guidance got it wrong so many times, which I call it the day of the front rule. The day of a cold front is usually your warmest day, as the warm air sucks up, for lack of better words, up against the cold front, and you get your warmest weather right before that cold front comes through. And likewise with a warm front, as a warm front comes in, you often get your coolest day as the coolest weather kind of presses up against the warm front. And that could be on Monday, could be the coolest of the next several days as the air warms aloft and you're coolest near the surface. So like yesterday, we were getting colder aloft and warmer near the surface. Yeah, it's complicated. Planes are landing toward the west today, and that means the air is coming from the west at pretty much all the lower levels of the atmosphere. We were so gusty last evening. This cat was chasing leaves around in circles. That was pretty fun. Maybe a snippet of that in an hour and more. All right, so here's the Euro. Oh, wait, the tropics. Yeah. Who saw this coming? The 16th named storm, not a tropical storm, but a subtropical storm out by the Azores, Patty, was named last night. Who had that in their prognostication? So the 16th named storm, I think in 50 years ago, that storm would have not been named and it would have just been a circulation out over the ocean that no one would have paid attention to. But more attention is being paid, though, to the Caribbean. Looks like there are dual systems possible developing in the Caribbean, with one going into near Mexico. That red hash, that's the 7-day outlook. And the yellow hash, there's something headed towards the northern islands of the Caribbean and perhaps South Florida. So we may have the next two storms, which would be Raphael and Sarah. Is that the other one? I think on the map. So we may get the 17th and 18th named storm of the season, in a storm which was predicted to be 23 named storms. So it's been a horrible hurricane season, regardless of not getting to 20 named storms. The damage has been done with all these storms we've had, all these landfalling storms. Okay, now let's go to the Euro. And we'll talk about this high pressure system coming in with low level instability, but mostly an inversion. And I think tonight we are going to have a layer of fog form with a frost in a lot of spots, which could help firefighters fighting the fires that are burning sort of on their own, out of control. I mean, it's hard to fight those fires. Anyhow, keep moving, Tim. There's the high pressure going east of us. On Monday, we'll get the warm front coming in here, so it'll be a cool day with a chance of a few showers, especially north. And the storm track continues to be out of the Rockies, down into Texas, then up through the Great Lakes and north of New England. And that means record warm coming back. The ridge in the southeast builds back. Very windy by late Tuesday into Wednesday. The next front is just kind of coming in here and falling apart. The jet stream flattens out, so the Wednesday night, it's a Wednesday front. Looks a lot like the front that came through here yesterday. Not as hot, but still pretty warm. And then the cooler air kind of comes in. Then there's a brief warm up on Friday. Then another colder front is going to come in Friday night and Saturday. And I will stop it on Saturday, because I stopped this a couple days ago showing there was a connection between the Gulf of Mexico and the polar flow coming together to form a storm. That was 3 days ago, and then it disappeared over the last 2 days. And now it looks like just cold, high pressure coming in here briefly. And the cold is not sustained at all. It's going to lift out. There may be a 36, 48 hour window for making snow there in the mountains as the temperature goes down into the teens and 20s, but only short-lived. That high is going to go by and out, and we're going to have a warm-up coming in by about Veterans Day, Monday, November 11th. I'll stop it on day 10. Sorry, did I even start it back up? Start it back up and stop it again on Monday, day 10. And I think the biggest news here is the change in Canada, where the last several days I've been talking about how Canada is going to be warming up, and that's true. And that warmth, though, is going to be squeezed, and it looks like new cold showing up there in Western Canada and in Eastern Canada, with a blob of warmth kind of in between. And so that's good news for trying to get winter started here, maybe the week after that we start to get sustained cold, which is, that's climatologically how it happens. And we go down south, and there is a storm there off the coast of Mexico. It looks like it could be hurricane, either Raphael or Sarah, and also something coming across the northern Caribbean near Florida. So that would stay way south and have no impact on New England, but it's something we're all going to keep an eye on regardless. A lot of us want winter. Appreciate your comments yesterday. Okay, I think I'm done with the weather part. Why not? It's 13 minutes in, and T-Rex is barking to go up. And the comments coming in here, Tom confirming the 70s in Rochester yesterday, and Bruce, I appreciate all your input and everybody. And I think a new viewer comment yesterday about November folklore from the Farmer's Almanac. Blooming flowers in late November, in late autumn, mean a bad winter. So what does that mean, a bad winter? See, when people think of bad winter, as a snow skier, I think bad winter means warm without too much snow. But I think a lot of other people, freeing Rex here, believe that a bad winter is a snowy and cold winter. So which is it? Do we get a bad winter because of snow, or bad winter because of lack of snow? But we certainly do have blooming flowers in late autumn. And these patrol boats, they go fast. They just love to zip around. I don't know what's on his mind, or her mind, but it's fun watching. So that's what we do. We observe here. And yesterday I observed a tree across the street. It's been in so many of my in-moors. And as I'm here yesterday, 24 hours ago, talking about how windy it was up on the hill, that tree came down across the road, a birch tree. So the town would have cleaned that up. Eric came by later with the tree truck, and he really nice man, but I had already gotten it with the chainsaw because I have a chainsaw and I like it, and it's birch, and I'm going to save that birch. And It looks a little too crooked to be a flagpole, but it'll make good campfire wood when it gets safer to make a campfire. So, and more yesterday on birch trees, and then around here yesterday, Steve was chasing the leaves that were being spun around by the wind. That was really fun. And what else? The sunset. Oh yeah, Bert's down at the boatyard. Love going down to the boatyard always. And I saw George sitting there in his lawn chair. He says, "When are we going to have our first freeze?" And he said, "It all works in waves, doesn't it?" He goes, "I think we're going to be having our first freeze around November 14th. So there it is. George says that's when we should wrap up our hoses, drain the outdoor pipes and outdoor showers. But until then, I'm going to continue with my outdoor showers and having sunset. Today's the last day with the sunset past 5 p.m. as the clocks go forward. We get an extra hour of sleep tonight, but then it's going to be dark at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Not looking forward to that, but it'll be light earlier, so maybe we'll get out the door earlier. All right, here's some and more from yesterday. Appreciate your patience. Talk to you again in 24 hours. Yeah. Steve stretched his line as far as he could this morning. That's it. Yep. Look at that. It's like a obstacle course. But he knows his way around. He's pretty smart. Good job, Steve. Just 2 seconds ago, I was talking about wind and from the south, and it doesn't really hit me, but look what it did hit. This birch tree. It's not even totally dead. Now, birches just don't live that long. Can I make a flagpole out of that thing, you think? Is it straight enough, long enough? I want to see some cars come through first, though. Yo, yeah. Can you take care of this tree, buddy? It's kind of sticking out in the middle of the road. I don't know if the cars can make it under it. You think we can make a flagpole out of that?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I make a flagpole out of your tree?
You can have it.
Oh, he can duck right under there. Nice little sports car.
Be careful.
Uh-oh, coming in hot. They're coming in hot.
You want this tree?
In that direction.
Okay.
Oh, get the traffic.
Yeah, I'll keep them.
Do you mind if I take this birch?
No, help yourself.
I think I'm gonna make a signpost. Now you get your fingers totally blocking the...
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Good job.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the tree. Any more you want?
Yeah,
Down?
Cut that piece off. Why not cut that piece off? Oh my God.
Anything else I can do for you?
No,
I don't know. It's a lot of work being a videographer.
I'm telling you, I'm tired.
So let's see how old that tree is. Let's try and do this like they taught us in Cub Scouts. Wow, it's very interesting because everyone knows that the bark is the life of the tree, right? And so look at that, how thick that one layer is right there. It's rather challenging to count, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm doing this wrong, obviously. So you can see where it had died out up there. Oh, I'm not focused. Let's see if we can count how old this tree is. And the bark right there is the life of the tree. And you can start a fire in the woods in the rain if you have bark from a birch tree. And this, you can make a medicine out of it. You can make a tea. I think it's called chug tea. That's what Steve White told me anyway. And you can see where the damage to this tree was right in here. So it was kind of hurting. It was time, even though it was trying to live. The lifespan of a birch tree is not that long. They're nursery trees is what I've learned from Peter Wild. When a whole forest is devastated by, say, a hurricane or something like that, one of the first trees to come back is the birch tree, and then the other hardwoods come in, and pines. You can see a lot of vines growing up there. What kind of vine is that? Actually, it looks like birch, doesn't it? So the birch wants to live. Those are all birch sprouts right in there. So these are all mini birch trees. So you get a birch bush here, and that's how it works. When the root, when one tree dies, another one comes out, and so on and so on. It's happening here. And I guess while I get the saw, we might have to work on this oldie but goodie. So that one was probably here before we were born. And once there was a hammock here. Yeah, so fun with trees and saws on November 1st. Content. New birch tree flagpole. That one's gonna go to South Dennis. The question is, how do you transport the 25-foot long birch tree? You know what you gotta do? You gotta buy a huge Ford Transit van. So I'm gonna go buy a van today, and I'm gonna transport that tree to Cape Cod.
Which one?
Jerry, you were right. The town would come and take care of it. You guys can take that if you want. That's Eric, works for the town. Really nice guy. Thanks for showing up. I told him I'd take it because, hey, look at that. Backyard fires and the snowstorms. That's gold. Thanks for coming, Eric. Not quite straight enough for a tall pole, but might be able to do something with that. And an update from the backyard with that clearing line right over us. It's dramatic. So I'm sitting there editing, and like this just ton of things go flying by. The leaves are blowing off at the top of Great Hill and coming right down here. But when I'm trying to make my video, it's not happening. So the wind is a lot stronger way up there. Here comes some leaves. Come on, do it again while we're making this video. Steve just sits there staring at the birds. I thought they were birds, but there were so many leaves. I didn't think it would happen, but apparently Logan Airport got to 77 degrees. The back edge of that high cloud moved out. That was warm air cloud, and now this is cold air cloud. Cumulus cloud as it gets colder up in the sky. That's instability. And I know this is difficult because of the Celsius on the left and the Fahrenheit on the right, but looks like we are 74 plus a little bit of change here. Just past 1 o'clock with this white cat, Steve, Maine Coon, acting more like a cow. But there's a dog down on the beach right now that's just as white as you, Steve. Look at the size of that pooch. Focus. Oh, handsome or pretty. Is that a lab? So pretty. Hi. I think they can hear me. Well, the wind is just right. Oh yeah. Doing a little hugging right there. They definitely can hear me. Somehow the wind must be carrying my voice right down there. Not quite white caps right here, but now the wind that was from the south, we were being blocked, is now coming around from the west. So it is more windy this afternoon. And the birds, just so fun. You see them all in there? They love that. Maybe an invasive, but the birds certainly love it. All right, so now we go into a cool wave for maybe about 48, 60 hours. And those are pretty chunky cumulus, but another dry fropa. And due to peer pressure, I guess, I did come and vote at Town Hall in Weymouth. Such a pretty town hall, so it's good to come here. And it's still in the 70s. Look at that beautiful tree. Blowing and drifting leaf advisory. And then look at that tree. Raking season. Now the mayor is having a meeting in the parking lot. I slowed him down. Slow everyone down. Yeah, it's like usually that tree has most of its leaf on before we get the cover on. So now this year the cover's not quite on, but the leaves are falling off. I don't know whether the tree is late or we're early. Something's going on.
I'm late.
You're late. Yeah, it's too cold to work outdoors today. I mean, too hot to work outdoors today. Love this worm chow. Just saw George chilling out there, manager of Bert's, and he's like, so when do you think we're gonna have to turn off the outdoor water? And I said, I don't know, I'm still going. He goes, yeah, I'm telling everyone the 14th. I think it's going to be kind of late. So I'm going to mark that down, George. The 14th. Otherwise, we can keep running the hoses. Let's go down here and get the sunset. Let's go out the door and wrap up this and more for today. Trailers are so hard to maintain, aren't they? Very low tide. New moon today, so your tide's going to be extra low and extra high. So technically the moon is like right next to the sun. And that doubles the pull on our oceans. So I'll probably slip if I try to walk down here. Alright. Can you hear me now over the wind? Very low tide. Calling it a day. Friday, November 1st. Fascinating day. And the snow guns could be coming on at some of the peaks in northern New England for 48 hours right now. Even though it's still 70 degrees around here. And there are your West Augusta